Welcome to another edition of Hey Bobby with Senior VP of the Cleveland Guardians, Bob DiBiasio, kind enough to join us each week, brought to you by Nika IBEW here on WAKR. Well, Bobby, we didn't talk at the All-Star break, and I wanted to bring this up to you as we're now into the second half of the season. Wanted your opinion with all of these rule changes coming into this 23 baseball season, how you viewed it at the halfway mark, and in your opinion, are they all working, or will there be some thought process in the off season of adjustment? What's your opinion here?
I have not changed my opinion, Ray. I love every single aspect of all of the rule changes, the new schedule format. I give H for honors to the commissioner, Theo Epstein, who, was one of the leaders of the charge to change our game. Our game got to be pretty boring for a period of time when it was nothing, when the shift was on. The idea was just to hit the ball over the head and into the stands since the shift was on. So we only concentrated on home runs, which resulted in a lot of strikeouts, which we had a group of players who didn't care if they struck out or not, which goes against, in my opinion, every philosophy of baseball. Put the bat on the ball, something good may happen, but we ended up doing nothing but home runs, strikeouts, and walks, and having 3-hour and 20-minute games in doing that. And it was just incredibly boring, and something needed to be done. And so they put a group together in the competition committee, and I think they changed our game for the better.
I think so too. And again, I'm in your corner. I think the only one that might even have a question mark, but I love the idea of it, is the base stealing. They made the bases bigger and then the throw over to first base. And I think that's all good. I really do. I think it speeds up the pace of the game. I love the base stealing aspect, but it has certainly given the base runners a distinct advantage in stealing bases. So I like it. I'm just wondering if maybe they'll adjust that in the offseason. But Bobby, I do like the base running adjustments as well.
Yeah, the whole idea wasn't focused on time of game. The focus was pace of play, to get rid of all the non-baseball stuff that was happening. Guys getting out of the batter's box after every pitch, pitchers walking around the mound, and then the batter mad that the pitcher walked around the mound. So when he got on the rubber to get ready to throw a pitch, the batter stepped out, and then the pitcher got off I mean, to me, that nuance isn't baseball. For people who say, oh, that's the cat and mouse game. Well, no, that's just boring, in my opinion. Unless it's, game 7 of the World Series or in a postseason game when, a player needs to collect themselves. And there has been some discussion, I have no idea where it's headed, that perhaps for the postseason, you may see the pitch clock change from 15 to 20 seconds with nobody on base, and 20 to 25 with a runner on base or bases. I don't know if that's going to happen. I've just read a few things that, the commissioner's office is always thinking about what you and I are talking about. Are there little nuance changes that could be made? Certainly no man on second base in extra innings of a postseason game. So they do change rules from the regular season for the postseason. That's already been happening. But we've seen a huge spike in stolen bases. We've seen a huge spike in, I think it's almost double number of stolen bases today than there were a year ago. The success rate is much higher, and that's all by design. We want more action, more running of the bases, more activity, and I think our fans are enjoying it as well.
I agree. Senior VP with the Cleveland Guardians, Bob DiBiasio with Hey Bobby, brought to you by Nika IBEW. Bobby, a huge week last weekend. Phillies came in the Progressive Field, record-setting numbers. They haven't had that large of a home series in, 15 years, I was reading for the homestand. A lot of that has to do, I know, dollar dogs and fireworks and all that stuff, but it also has to do, and you know this better than anyone, if you don't put an exciting baseball team on the field, doesn't matter what you do and all those other aspects. And Guardians playing some exciting baseball. Their averages offensively are way up in the last 8 weeks for sure. They're getting on base, driving the ball and such, but wanted you to reflect a little bit. You spent a lot of time at that old ballpark. It was a great weekend with the Phillies in town last week.
It sure was. I think, what did we hit 108,000 for the weekend, which is really good numbers for a home summer weekend. Now, we've had Sugardale Dollar Dogs and fireworks and promo days for a gazillion years. And what's made the difference, I mean, there's multiple factors in why attendance goes up. And number one on the list is the team performance. So you're coming off a season where we won 92 games with a group of youngsters, 17 making their major league debut, and people fell in love with the style of play in the old rules, where we put the bat on the ball and we're aggressive on the base pass. So we're a year ahead of the changes. And so when that happens, you go to 2 rounds of the postseason, inherently you're going to get more people to come the next year because they're excited about it and they identify summer weekends first. When we put ticket sales up for grabs in March, the first things to go are summer weekends. Obviously, that's the one that people go. So when you have 108,000, we're already starting with a real good base. You get an increase in season tickets, the 20-game plan, the 40-game plan. The groups get back together and do a full season plan. More groups want to come to the ballpark. So all of that is a factor on the team performance. Then you add the added value with the promotional calendar. And then I actually think, you third on the list is ticket affordability. We had the ballpark pass for $49 for the entire month, a standing room only ticket, and we've sold out of those. So that's spurred interest. We also have, I think, our tickets are incredibly affordable when you look around the game of baseball and see where other ballparks are at in terms of their ticket pricing. And then the calendar, the new schedule format. I do think that, we had the Cardinals here, we had the Phillies here. There's 2 fan bases that travel very well. And so there was a number of Cardinals fans and Phillies fans this past weekend. Milwaukee Brewers into town. Instead of seeing the Twins and the Tigers and the White Sox and the Royals come to town 3 times, we had a mix. And I think that played a role. So many factors play into it. And it's awfully fun. And I know our guys are very appreciative.
Bobby, you mentioned travel. Last week, I took a busload of WAKR listeners down to the Pittsburgh game.
Right.
In the afternoon. We didn't get the win, but it was a great day. And I got to tell you, I was thoroughly impressed with the travel of the Guardians fans. And I have to say this, PNC Park is a beautiful park in Pittsburgh. That day, and I was talking to a lot of people, it was about 50-50 inside that stadium of Pirate and Guardians fans. I was really surprised. One, they're buying the Guardians gear. Number 2, they're following this team, which to you, there's a lot of passion for the baseball team. I was really impressed.
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I really think and hope, I have no inside information on this at all. But I'm hoping that when we get to 32 baseball teams, that's coming. We're going to add in our industry 2 more cities. Don't know what cities those are going to be. But if we do get to 32, there's been discussion that the old traditional American League and National League are going to go away. And with the 2 new teams, there'll be a realignment of divisions. And I would love if we were Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. Oh. There would be 8 4-team divisions. If you ever sitting watching a ball game, get out a legal pad, figure out the 2 teams that you think it's going to be, Nashville and Portland, or Charlotte and who else, just name a San Antonio. I don't know. You pick the 2. You're the commissioner. You get to pick the 2 teams. Now go figure out what the 8 4-team divisions should be. It's a heck of a puzzle to figure out. But I would love, and just for that fact, that I think all summer long, fans of the Tigers and the Reds and the Pirates and the Guardians would be traveling to each other's cities and creating economic impact in the cities. And it would just be real fun for us to be in that geographical group, because baseball is, because it's played every day and the TV every day, it's a geographical sport. It's not like football that is a national sport on one day of the week, basically. A couple, you get a Thursday night here and there, but normally it's one day a week. And so it's a national issue with the national broadcasters. But with our sport, I just think what you saw in Pittsburgh could happen all summer long in all 4 of those cities, and it would be really fun.
I agree. But Bobby, business question for you. When, for example, when I saw the Guardians fans in Pittsburgh last week, is there, the way the business of baseball is set up, do the Guardians get some of that ticket that goes into Pittsburgh if they're purchased outside of the city, or whoever comes to Pittsburgh? That's I
should know the answer. My answer is going to be no.
Okay.
And somebody out there who's watching, listening, may know more than me on this topic, but my sense is that went away a while ago, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. That issue that was in place, that the visiting team would get a share of the ticket receipts. It happens in the postseason. But I do not believe it happens in the regular season anymore.
There you go. Hey Bobby was Senior VP of our Cleveland Guardians. Bob DiBiasio joins us each week with Hey Bobby on WAKR, brought to you by our good friends at NICA IBEW. My friend, thank you for the time as always, like the new hat. And
thank you.
Reconvene again next week. Thanks, Bobby.
You got it, Ray. Take care, buddy. Go Guardians.